are hundreds upon thousands of eShop games out there, and it can be a bit difficult to choose what game you should play, which is where this video will come in handy. The last few months especially were crazy for eShop games, and I want to share with you 10 games that came out recently on the Nintendo Switch. I played each of these games and wanted to give you my first impressions on all of them. 10 separate games you can get on the eShop right now. And hopefully after this video, you'll find a new game you want to try out. By the way, some of these games I got free copies for, some of them I did not. I will let you know if I got a free copy of the game, but I assure you, I will be honest with my feelings no matter what. Just gotta get that out of the way. So let's not waste any time. Here are 10 eShop games you should try on the Nintendo Switch. First off, a game that will make you both happy and hungry, Venba. Thank you for the publishing team for giving me a free copy of Venba. I've been hyped for this game for quite a while, mentioning it in previous videos in fact, and this game was honestly worth the wait. The game tells the story of Venba and her husband as they start a family together, immigrating to Canada from India. Venba lives through her life, living moments with her husband and her son, while finding and using her mother's recipe book. The game is mostly story, but is connected through moments of gameplay, which consist of cooking minigames where you have to follow the recipe just right. Fry things in the pot, make sure you put the spices in correctly, cook every delicious meal just the way it is in Venba's mother's recipe book. It looks so good, it's so delicious! It's a nice puzzle segment that is a good mix of challenging and rewarding. And if you are like me, who doesn't have a clue what they're doing when it comes to cooking, there is a hint system that can help you out. The majority of the game, though, is the family and how Venba interacts with hers, and the moments in their lives. How Venba interacts with her husband, the tension between her and her son at points, the moments with the family range from mundane to funny to even heartbreaking at points. I won't give anything away, but I really got attached to these characters and wanted to see them all happy. Not a lot of games can really do that, especially in a short time. Also, I don't know about Indian culture too well, but the game made me interested to learn more about it, which is a really cool accomplishment. Also, the food, my god, the food looks absolutely appetizing. I remember craving Indian food for about a week after playing this game, because I wanted to eat every morsel of food I saw on the screen, and now talking about it, I'm hungry again! The game is a bit short, I got it done in about a few hours, and the game itself is mostly the interactions of the family, with some cooking mini-games thrown in between. Some people may not like that, but I still say the game is worth the purchase. It's a wholesome experience with a heartwarming story, with some decently challenged food puzzles in between, and a great choice for everyone who loves wholesome games or anyone who loves food. Be sure to try Venba, fresh off the menu. From cooking food to frying vampires. Quite the difference, I know. Let's move on to our next game, Vampire Survivor. Vampire Survivor is an extremely simple roguelike with a lot of meat thrown into it of what you can do. Overall, the main goal is to stay alive as long as you can, defeating as many enemies as you can. You level up the more and more enemies you fight, and get new weapons each and every level to help you increase your chances of surviving. You fight and fight as long as you can until, well, you die. Rinse and repeat until you're done playing for the day. It truly is a roguelike in its simplest form. No story, very minimal sprites and graphics, it's all arcade really, but the game itself is super addicting and really satisfying to play. It can really be rewarding to best your time in each attempt, living a bit longer each time you try. You can also unlock new rewards as you play, new character classes so you can play as a melee attacker, a sorcerer, a wizard, and others. Different areas where you can fight with different layouts which can change things up a bit with the challenge. Really add small little variances to add replayability, something that is required for a game like this. Vampire Survivor is one of those games you just try to attempt to beat your score, which isn't a bad thing. It is extremely fun and very satisfying. And challenging too. After a while, the screen can get absolutely crazy with all the enemies around. You're going to have to be crafty with dodging projectiles and being able to last between waves and waves of enemies. And it can be really cool to just somehow avoid being surrounded by enemies and stay alive just a little bit longer. I don't have too many complaints with this game. If anything, maybe the music. The songs are awesome, no doubt about that. They can just be a bit repetitive depending on how long your game goes on. I wish the soundtrack would alternate just a bit more, but that's being a bit nitpicky. The game is such a blast, addicting, and replayable, and it's definitely a game you want to sink your teeth into. Now time to enter the rainforest as we explore our next game, Flutter Away. Special thanks to the devs and publishers for giving me a free copy of this game. In this game, you play as a researcher of the rainforest, vacationing there for the first time to study butterflies, tent and camp the rainforest, and fill their journal with as much sketches and information on wildlife as they can within a week. It is super cozy as you look at and study all the butterfly species in the area, and all the creatures that are absolutely adorable. My favorite is the capybara the main character gets to know throughout the game, and every time I see him, he's just so cute. It's a very simple game, sure, and also a bit short, but it makes up for it with just having very sweet content, such as finding the different types of butterflies and taking pictures of them, all while trying to achieve everything on your to-do list in your journal. The game is a first-person view, and the rainforest looks absolutely gorgeous, especially for an indie game. The writing is witty, you learn about the main character through their writing and drawings, which by the way, the drawings are spectacular too, did I mention that? And of course, you get points for being able to pet the animals. Look at the capybara, look at the capybara. Flutter Away is a simple short game, where you can look at and take pictures of animals and insects. Nothing too much more than that, but it's still an adorable game to add to the cozy collection. Be sure to check out the buzz of Flutter Away. Hey, do you like Deltarune or maybe Undertale? Well, Mundle may be right up your alley. One look of the art style of this game, and you can tell that Mundle is heavily inspired by Toby Fox's creations. The character design, sounds, and text are all extremely similar. You play as Michael, who finds their way into a world of monsters, a kingdom called Dargrat, and must help the princess find their friend Tori and work with other monsters to improve the monster world, all while exploring and meeting the inhabitants. Again, the designs scream inspired by Undertale and One Shot, so much so that you even have designs that look questionably like other characters, and apparently, even a character from Homestuck is straight up in the game. Needless to say, it has that witty dialogue one would expect, and it is humorous for sure. The gameplay is a lot different as there are no bullet hells or even battles. Instead, it's an adventure game where you just talk to people, find items for them, talk to them, and help them out with their issues. It has more visual novel elements, and like I said, the character design is what carries through. And while it can be compared to another game, they're still really appealing and really are interesting to look at. The pixel art and location designs are really nice looking too, an excellent display of sprite work. The people who made this game put a lot of love and effort into it, and it shows. And those who are fans of these type of games are sure to love it and give it a shot. It's not perfect, sometimes dialogue goes on for a bit too long in my opinion, and I do wish there was something more to break up the monotony a bit. Maybe not something turn-based or combat related, but I don't know, a minigame or something. But the game, for what it is pretty cute. If you like Undertale or Deltarune, you're not gonna have a bad time with Mundle. Time for a zombie-filled trip to the Old West, Oregon Trail. Yes, you heard right, Oregon Trail, not Oregon Trail. Think the game that you grew up with playing in school, but instead with zombies around every corner trying to eat you. You and your companions, who you all get to name by the way, must make your way across the trail to Safe Haven to survive the zombie apocalypse. The game either consists of you riding your station wagon praying to the RNG gods, or stopping in campsites where you can hunt, repair your wagon, buy items, do jobs, sleep, and more to get ready for the long, perilous journey. You have to keep you and your companions alive by making sure they are getting fed enough that they aren't injured or that they don't turn into zombies. Otherwise, game over. It's a nice balance of strategically making sure you have just enough resources, but also having curveballs being thrown at you from all sorts of random things that can happen. From your characters accidentally throwing food, to running into a stampede of caribou, a biker gang following you, crossing a field of zombies, or visiting a grave and pow, a zombie pops out. It can be a bit difficult to keep everyone alive, even on normal. In fact, when I play this game on stream, I died and my entire party was wiped out. This game can be tough if you don't know what you're doing, and I welcome the challenge. This version also offers extra features, like multiple pathways where you can get there faster, but risk being exposed to radiation, or multiple new scenarios you can run into. And who could say no to extra content? I will say, after playing both this version and the PC version, using the gun to shoot zombies can be a bit clunky in comparison. It's something you certainly have to get used to with a Joy-Con or Pro Controller. Also, obvious warning, this game is dark in subject matter, dealing with zombies, murder, cannibalism, nuclear war, all sorts of dark things. So not exactly the most kid-friendly game for everybody. But hey, I still love it regardless. I've been loving the game since I first started making content, and this was on Steam. And I am so happy to finally see it on Nintendo Switch. Make your way to the safe haven and try Oregon Trail today. Zombies are cool and all, but sometimes you just gotta get funky. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Did you grow up playing and loving Jet Set Radio? If so, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is a must-have for you. You recently break out of prison, but just as you're about to get out, heads roll. Literally in this case. Youch. You get a new robotic head, a new name, Red, and you must work together with the local gang, the Bomb Rush crew, to recover your old head, challenge local gangs, and defeat the ones who decapitated you. This game has such a 90s skater feel to it, as you move around skating, skateboarding around the area, all while trying to do tricks and turns to gain points and street cred. You also make your mark by graffitiing all around you by moving the stick combination a few different times to get different designs each graffiti, which is a really awesome mechanic. It's incredibly satisfying to quickly hit a combination and then bam, a cool design happens. Makes me want to graffiti and vandalize all over the place in the game. You also have to do tricks and show off to face rival gang members, and you can do basic attacks with combat in this game, although it is just basic melee punching and kicking, against bosses, other gang members, and even the authority. My favorite thing is just running around, doing tricks, and seeing how much points you can get and what tricks you can pull off. There's also a section where you have to do challenges and score as many points as you can against your rival gang, although I had a lot of trouble with this section personally. This may be because I am terrible with a game like this, but the camera can be a bit wacky at times, and controlling it on the Switch and Pro Controller may be the issue. Nothing game-breaking or unplayable though, just a bit annoying. I did have one glitch where it kinda crashed during a cutscene, which was annoying as it seemed like a pretty important one. But other than that, the game ran pretty okay. My favorite part about the game is the music. My god, extremely funky, very catchy, and just overall great tracks that fit the tone of the game perfectly. Although, while not my personal cup of tea, this really is a fun game, especially if you grew up with Jet Set Radio. Be sure to get funky with Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Next up, soar the skies with Black Skylands. So, fun fact, I got the Steam version of this game as a free code from the devs years ago, and I streamed it, and I didn't feel like I did the game enough justice, so I'm trying it again now. Black Skylands is a top-down shooter where you play as Eva, and after her home is attacked, you become the sky captain of the airship, commanding your own ship and defending your territories from the swarm and invading falcons. You control as both Eva herself, shooting enemies with different types of ammunition and attacking with a slash attack, and also control the airship, and move around the skies blasting things and collecting items along the way. You have to maintain your ship, making sure it stays repaired, and fuel it by going to fuel stations and filling it up with gas. And it's not like New Jersey, you gotta fill it up yourself. It's very open world and sandbox-ish, and I really like the idea of just flying around an airship and a game based on that. However, this game is probably my least favorite of the bunch if I'm being completely honest. The story can be a little bit generic, and dialogue seems more wooden and predictable. Not the worst, but I often found myself wanting to skip it all and just get straight to the airship combat. The airship controls can get a little finicky too, as turning can take a bit too long, and combat itself can be a bit rough if you don't know what you're doing. Thankfully, you could change the difficulty if you so choose anytime you wish, so if you are struggling, you can go to easy mode. No shame in that. The game does seem really open, and you can explore as much as you like, really, but it does have missions you can do, such as going to areas that are taken over by the enemy and restoring the towns by upgrading everything. It's really up to you on what you could do. It was cool revisiting this again. Not my personal favorite, but one you may want to check out. Black Skylands soars onto Nintendo Switch. What's your sign? Mine's Aquarius. I'm running out of transitions. Virgo versus the Zodiac. Special thanks to the devs and publishers for giving me a copy of this game. You play as Virgo, the Holy Queen, who is on a quest to purify the land, destroy all heretics, and bring back the golden age of the land, all while doing turn-based combat and taking all the other Zodiacs and their minions. She is extremely ruthless and will murder anyone in her path, as she will do everything in her power to bring peace, even if that means bloodshed. Very dark stuff for what looks like a cute pixel art RPG, but don't be fooled. This is a turn-based game where every action has a reaction, and you must be absolutely perfect with your timing. And I mean perfect. You know how in Paper Mario action commands are helpful but not really required? In this game, you must get the timing right in order to succeed. Otherwise, you will fail and you will die. Making sure you hit the right button with attacking, defending, hitting with multiple attacks. You gotta be so precise. This is the most challenging RPG I have played in a while, and it's kind of refreshing. In a sea of RPGs where people claim they are too easy or repetitive, this game comes along and destroys you, and it will certainly give you the challenge you crave. And if you want to play it just for the story, there is an easy mode you have to try, which, I admit, I had to switch to that difficulty to get a little bit further in the game and cover it more. I really appreciate that they had that difficulty for people like me. Speaking of, the story and graphics are nice. It has cute characters, fun boss fights, and great character designs. You even have a sidekick who's a gingerbread cookie. Who could ask for anything more? It really is a cool entry for those looking for a new RPG, but you may want to cater to more seasoned RPG fans. If you're looking for a more difficult version of turn-based combat, then this is your sign to try Virgo versus the Zodiac. Let's move from Zodiac gods to Greek gods. Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. The inner musical theater nerd in me love this game. You play as Grace in this visual novel musical game, and after encountering the dying god Calliope, Grace suddenly gets her new powers. The ability to make the world around her a musical, and everyone has to sing around her. The Greek chorus sees Grace in her new powers and accuses her of Calliope's murder. You must gather evidence to prove your innocence in a week before a trial, and learn all you can from other Greek gods by talking to them, or singing with them. This game doesn't have traditional gameplay in a sense, it acts more like a visual novel, where you can make dialogue choices, but not only do you make dialogue choices, but during the song moments, which are actually full-blown musical numbers by the way, you can decide points of how the song goes depending on what choice you make. That's a really cool and unique mechanic that makes each song super unique and adds the replayability so you don't hear exactly the same song every time. Speaking of songs, they are really catchy and well composed, and performed really well. I still have a lot of them stuck in my head and even listened to a few outside of the game. The character design is really interesting too, as you see Greek gods like Apollo, Athena, Persephone, even Pan, all designed in a modern way, living in modern times. And we even have some big name voice actors playing the roles in these games, like Troy Baker and even Laura Bailey. The art just looks so good, really gives me some great comic book vibes, and everything just wrapped up in a nice experience. I remember playing this in a Discord and having people watch it, and people got really into it based on the art alone. I really enjoyed this one. This is one of my personal favorites, and I really think you should give this one a shot. Be sure to sing loud and proud for Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. And finally, the last game on our list, Wrestle Quest. What a cool idea for an RPG! Wrestlers in this toy box world, figurines of popular fighters like Macho Man Randy Savage, Muchacho Man, and Brink Logan, focusing on their desire to wrestle their way to the top and become the champion. I love how this all takes place in a toy world where you have other different types of toys around, like Lego figurines, stuffed animals, Barbie dolls, and other toys. It really shows the tone of the universe and gives it a nice goofy tone to all of it, even with some serious subjects brought up. You fight in turn-based battles that take place in literal arena rings, and you can fight signature moves, taunt to get the crowd on your side, tag team with other party member wrestlers to perform special moves. You even have to pin them in a fun little minigame to make sure they stay down. I love it! Again, it's the idea of a wrestling-themed RPG that's just a really cool concept that's executed so well. And this is coming from someone who isn't a huge fan of wrestling or the WWE. There seems to be a lot of references hidden throughout the game, from characters from wrestling lore to quote voice lines from characters to even fun cameos thrown in that I probably don't even know about, but people familiar with the wrestling world will love. Maybe even kinda wish I knew more about the WWE. The game looks super cartoony and full of life, the controls feel great, and like a lot of good RPGs, have great and satisfying reaction commands. It's all just a great love letter to wrestling. My biggest gripe would have to be the loading screens. They can go on for a bit too long for me, and kinda breaks the flow with going from one area to the next. This might be a problem with just the Switch version, but it's something I can live with. Overall though, this game is really fun, and a great treat for anyone who is a fan of wrestling. Make your way to the ring and try Wrestle Quest on Nintendo Switch. And there you have it, 10 eShop games that you could get right now. Whether you knew about these games or hear about them for the first time, I hope you found a new game that you could try out today. Are there any other eShop games that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the like button and stay tuned for more videos.